Here.
Mr. Dillon?
Here.
Ms. Fide? Here. Mr. Kella? Here. Mr. Rusonellos?
Here. Okay, Mr. Chairman, the first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the September 17th meeting.
So moved. Second.
For the motion. Roll call for.
Mr. Cox?
Aye.
Mr. Crompton?
Aye.
Mr. Dillon?
Aye.
Ms. Fide? Aye. Mr. Kella?
Aye.
Mr. Rusonellos?
Aye.
Mr. Caparelli?
Aye.
Okay, and before we get to agenda items, there is one item that's being withdrawn from the agenda, and that is D1-20, and that's the detachment of 6501 Caton Farm Road. I don't know if there's anyone here on that item. Okay, that's gonna be pulled from this agenda. If you've got a question or a comment, you can.
I have a lot of questions and comments.
Okay, why don't we do this? Why don't you meet with our planner on that case?
I'd like to meet with this gentleman here too.
Okay, that can be accomplished, but for now, if we can just get you to meet with our planner, okay?
Who's the planner?
Jane, she'll meet with you.
Can we just wait till after the meeting? Have
Yeah.
to be-
After
Yeah,
the meeting.
that's fine,
please.
that's fine.
That was D120?
Okay, let us move on to citizens to be heard on agenda items. This section is for anyone wanting to speak regarding items listed on the agenda. And that is going to be a 4-minute maximum speaking time. Okay, under old business, public hearing, our first case is ZO-2-20. And that's an ordinance to require an annual payment in lieu of taxes as a condition of a special use permit for all truck parking facilities. That item is also requested to be withdrawn from the agenda as well. I'm not sure if there was anyone in the audience on that.
Is that permanently withdrawn then?
No, I have to apologize. I think at the last meeting, we had moved that to this meeting. We thought it would be ready. It's not going to be permanently withdrawn. What will happen is it's going to go back through the Economic Development Committee as well as the Land Use Committee. Then it's going to come back to the Plan Commission.
Yeah, and you still send all the information to all the commissioners.
Correct,
right?
yes,
So they
yeah,
know
everyone got
what's
that,
going on.
that earlier packet, I
Yes.
believe that we sent out. Okay, yeah, we will refresh that and get that out to you again. Okay, our next item is PUD-1-20, and that's the preliminary plan unit development of 1801 Jefferson Street. I believe we've got a tabling requested on that item to the November Plan Commission meeting.
To November, okay. Can I get a
Yeah.
motion on that to,
So moved. Second.
call roll?
Mr. Crompton?
Aye.
Mr. Dillon?
Aye.
Ms. Fide? Aye. Mr. Kella?
Aye.
Mr. Rusonellos?
Aye.
Mr. Caparelli?
Aye.
Mr. Cox?
Aye.
Thank you. Our next item, Mr. Chairman, is V3-20. And that is a vacation of an adjacent unused alley. The applicant in this matter is Morningstar Mission Ministries. They are requesting a vacation of an unused alley to remedy an existing building encroachment and connect adjoining private property holdings. They are located at 360-368 East Washington Street. The size of the alley is 1,725 square feet. It is an unused public alley. Surrounding land use and zoning to the north is I-1 light industrial, and that's a railroad right-of-way. To the south is R2 single-family residential. To the east is B1 neighborhood business, and that's vacant land. To the west is B3 general business, and that is the Morningstar Mission Men's Shelter. Under site history, Morningstar Mission Ministries owns and operates a 1.6 acre complex at the corner of Melcor Place and East Washington Streets, which includes the men's shelter at 350 East Washington, the facility at 360 through 368 Washington Street, and that's the chapel, drop-in center, administrative offices, and the women and family shelter, and surrounding vacant land. Special information: the area subject to this vacation request consists of 1,725 square feet of unused public alley located behind the facility at 360 through 368 East Washington. That facility was constructed in 2005, and that is the building that encroaches on the alley. The alley is also used as part of the facility's play area. Morningstar Mission seeks to rectify the existing building encroachment and connect adjoining private property holdings with this vacation request. A plat of vacation is included as an attachment in your report. Public Utilities and Public Works departments are not opposed to the vacation request. There are no utilities in the access easement. AT&T has reported that they are not opposed to the request. They also have no utilities in the area. As of the writing of the staff report, no other utility companies reported back as to whether or not there were additional easements that needed to be reserved or utilities. And that completes the staff report, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have the petitioner on hand. He's swearing, okay.
Yep. Sandy Percy, Morningstar Mission, 350 East Washington Street.
Do you have anything to add to this?
You know, just trying to rectify something that we thought was done in 2003 when we purchased the property.
Okay, right now by the picture, the alleyway, is that already fenced in?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any other questions from the petitioners about this? Any questions from the public about this? Do I have a motion to approve this?
I motion to approve. Second.
I'll call roll.
Ms. Fide?
Aye.
Mr. Kella?
Aye.
Mr. Rosanellos?
Aye.
Mr. Caparelli?
Aye.
Mr. Cox?
Aye.
Mr. Crompton?
Aye.
Mr. Dillon?
Aye.
Thank you.
Next.
Next item, Mr. Chairman, is P-10-20. That's the revised preliminary plat of Darcy Estates subdivision. FP 620, that's the final plat of Darcy Estates Unit 2 subdivision. Z 420, a reclassification of 16.3 acres from R2 and R4 to B3, and that would be general business zoning. V4-20, which is a vacation of public utility, drainage, and ingress-egress easements and stormwater detention easement. The applicant in this matter is Essington Road Partners Incorporated and Westside Joliet Real Estate Partners LLC. They are requesting approval of a preliminary plat, approval of a final plat, approval of a zoning reclassification, and approval of a series of vacations to allow the expansion of an existing automobile dealership. Existing zoning is B3 general business, R2 single family residential, and R4 low density multifamily residential. The preliminary plat request is 79.2 acres. The final plat comprises 28.4 acres. Reclassification parcels would be 16.3 acres, and the vacation request comprises 1.7 acres. Existing land use is commercial and undeveloped. Surrounding land use and zoning, to the north is undeveloped, B3 general business, and R4 multifamily. To the south is residential, R2 single family, R3 1 and 2 family residential, and R4 multifamily. To the east is undeveloped, R2 and R4. To the west is commercial and residential, B3 and R2. Under site history, the area in question was annexed and zoned B3 and R4 in September of 1973. An annexation agreement was adopted in 1991. A preliminary plat of Berkshire subdivision was approved in 1993, but has since expired. A preliminary, final, and record plat of Darcy Estates subdivision was approved in March 2001 and reapproved in March 2003, but had never been recorded. In April 2004, the city approved the preliminary plat of Darcy Estates subdivision and a final and recording plat of Darcy Estates Unit 1. Darcy Motors constructed a Buick GMC dealership later that year. The dedication of a public utility and drainage easement for the relocation of a water main was approved by the City Council in September 2015. The city vacated utility and drainage easements on lots 1 and 2 in 2017, when Darcy Motors expanded the dealership to include a building addition and auto wash and detail buildings. Under special information, the petitioners seek approval of a revised preliminary plat for Darcy Estates subdivision, a final plat of Darcy Estates Unit 2 subdivision, a zoning reclassification, and 2 vacations in order to allow for the expansion of the existing Darcy Motors business at this location. Darcy Motors wishes to relocate its Hyundai dealership from Jefferson Street to its current Buick GMC automobile inventory lot and expand the dealership to newly created areas north and east of the existing business. The revised preliminary plat will establish 6 lots in the subdivision, lots 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and the final plat will establish 4 lots in the proposed Unit 2 subdivision, lots 3, 4, 5, and 6. Lots 1 and 2 in Darcy Estates Unit 1 subdivision will be superseded by lots 3 and 4 in Darcy Estates Unit 2 subdivision. The revised preliminary plat for Darcy Estates subdivision and the final plat of Darcy Estates Unit 2 subdivision is attached to this staff report. The proposed 7-acre Lot 4 will contain the existing Buick GMC dealership building, car wash, and detailing shop. The new Hyundai dealership will be located on the proposed 6.3-acre lot 3. At its October 2020 meeting, the Zoning Board of Appeals, and that was earlier this afternoon, reviewed the special use permit request, as well as variation request to waive building material and elevation requirements of the city's non-residential design standards for the Hyundai dealership building. As a result of this relocation, Darcy Motors intends to create new inventory lots north and east of the existing property, which will become the new 8.5-acre Lot 5, and relocate the stormwater detention basin further east, which will become the new 6.6-acre Lot 6. At its October 15th meeting, the zoning board will also review variation requests to 1, waive the requirement for concrete curb and gutter around portions of the proposed expanded perimeter of the new asphalt inventory lots. 2, waive the required landscape islands in the new parking lot area. 3, waive the required landscaping for residential screening along a portion of the south property line. 4, waive the required 6-foot-tall solid fence along a portion of the south property line. And 6, waive the required tree planting along the inventory lots, and that's west and north property lines. There are no known development proposals for the 50.4-acre Lot 7 or the narrow 0.4-acre Lot 8 as of the writing of the staff report. The future development of Lot 7 will require additional stormwater detention. With the northward and eastward expansion of the business, the petitioners seek to reclassify the zoning of a portion of the proposed lots 3 and 4 and all of lots 5 and 6 to make the zoning consistent with the proposed land use. The plat of zoning is attached in the staff report. In addition, the petitioners also seek to vacate the ingress-egress, drainage, and utility easement portion in question because if left in its current location, it would encroach under the proposed new Hyundai dealership building. Darcy Motors intends to vacate the existing stormwater detention easement in order to relocate the stormwater detention easement further east, which will become the newly created Lot 6. A plat of vacation also attached in the staff report. The city's Public Works and Utilities departments are in favor of the vacation request. As of the writing of the staff report, there has been no opposition from any utility company. All
Kendall,
public.
question. I'm sorry to interrupt you. That would be the VIV -4-20 park
Yes, that's the plat of easement vacation,
for that particular one.
yeah, exhibit. All public improvements will be provided for as per the zoning ordinance, subdivision regulations, and the requirements of the Public Works and Utilities Departments, sewer and water tap-on fees, the sewer and water surcharge fee, and the development impact fee will be required. And that completes the staff report, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, do we have a petitioner on hand?
Yes, sir, Mr. Dillon, Mr. Chairman, Mike Hanson,
You're sworn in.
111 North Ottawa Street, members of the Plan Commission. Also present with me here today, Mr. Terry Darcy, the owner of Darcy Motors on the property, Mr. Chris Papish from Geotech, our engineers. We've worked diligently with the city staff to make certain that we're in compliance with all city rules, regulations, met with the neighbors to make sure that we satisfy their concerns. So if you have any questions, we're here to answer them.
Well, my question is not so much with the project, but we just got all this stuff 2 days ago to look at. It's clear that this is something that either the planning commission, either staff has had on hand, and to give it and download all this and digest all this, and you know, because we're all volunteers here, it's clear that you guys put a lot of effort into this planning. I think it's only fair that at times that staff or somebody needs to get that to us in a timely fashion so we could review some of this stuff prior to coming to the meeting, so that we're better prepared to answer questions and to be able to hear maybe any concerns that might come up. But here, you know, you brought it to the planning commission, and then you brought it to staff on 9/11, and then here it is before the planning commission just you know, just a little bit over 30 days later. It gives a feeling of it being somewhat rushed, but, and Kendall, we've kind of talked about all this stuff before, about getting stuff to us in a timely fashion. I know that Mr. Dillon has as well, so I was hoping that you could do that. I understand it's you guys want to get this through as quickly as possible, and I'm all for having some of this stuff done, but I'm concerned about a little bit about the landscaping and stuff like that, that's going on right now.
Yeah, if I could respond to you, Mr. Caparelli, I understand your concern totally. And of course, here we are in October with the end of the year coming up. You know, this is in response to Mr. Darcy's moving his Hyundai dealership over there. He's got a lot of requirements for the property based on the dealerships. And so for another month to extend this would really not meet our timetable. I apologize. We're here to obviously answer any questions, address any concerns. I don't know if there's any neighbors here or anybody else who would wish to speak, you know, so.
We'll get to that, sir. Just hang on.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
I believe all these materials were posted by last Friday, and I think our secretary sent the links out last week.
I literally got this yesterday with these new computers that you guys wanted to do. 4 times I was down here.
Okay.
And it goes down. I literally made her print one up for me so I could look at it yesterday.
Okay. Other commissioners, did you receive?
I got mine on Friday.
I received that.
Yeah, but again, a timely fashion is, okay, how long did you guys review this stuff? I mean, I'm not saying that I'm that smart that I need to, or that stupid that I can't look at it and read it, either or, but certainly, I just feel that if you guys, if the petitioner has spent all this time and effort putting this all together, and reasonably so, and then just to come in and say, well, here it is, just accept it as it is, because we're under a critical timetable right now. So you can see now we have people here that are upset, and I don't think it was, you know what I mean? We'll try to get everybody involved. I'm all for, believe me, I'm all for the dealership moving. I don't have any problem with that whatsoever. My concern is about the residents and how that affects them. So but I'm all for it. How do we get, I want to be successful. I want to help, you know, the dealership move. I'm all for it. That's my position. But it's just gotta be just a little bit, it's gotta be tweaked so we can get there from here. You
Yeah,
see?
so, you know, typically we get the materials out, you know, a week in advance. Notwithstanding any technical issues with your devices.
Right.
But that seems to have been adequate time for, you know, past meetings.
Okay. Do we know when the notifications were sent out to the residents?
So that notice, the 600-foot notice goes out
15 days prior to the meeting.
after CDRD.
And you guys met with the area residents, people? Is there, okay, for discussion's sake, sir, okay, tell you what. The public wants to make comments, stand up to the podium real quick, so we'll go
that's-
back into
I
the
think-
discussion, but come on up.
I think that's a good idea. Let's let the
Huh?
residents speak.
Let's
Yeah,
get-
the residents
Let's hear
ask-
from
get-
some of the
let's get
folks.
it-
Folks
come
that
on
came
up.
out.
Well, can we establish first that there was a 15-day? Can we
Yeah.
do one thing at a time
Yes,
instead of
yeah,
just
yeah.
everything at once, please?
Good question, yes. So public notice is 15 days prior to the actual hearing, so that was made.
And it was made.
Yes,
Okay.
and so in addition to that, the city goes the extra step, which is not a statutory requirement, and we send out notices to all property owners within 600 feet. So I think that goes out in a timely fashion as well. If neighbors don't get notified, they don't receive that notice from the city, it's possible that they're not within that 600-foot area that we send the notices out.
And
But
it's not mandatory that they have a subdivision meeting, like, that's not mandatory. That's something that sometimes,
it's not mandatory, sometimes it's requested. But there's a posting on the site of a large sign. There's
Small writing though.
the public notice that goes out in the newspaper, and then there's the 600-foot 600-foot property owner notice that goes out prior to the meeting as well.
Okay, you want to state your name and where you live for the record, please?
Yes, sir. I'm Bob Jacobus. I'm a newly retired iron worker, and I live at 2807 Valley Forge, which is not affected by Terry doing this stuff. Matter of fact, I've talked to Terry about the building and stuff. I just wanted to see how the zoning was gonna go. I live in the farthest back of the field. Back there, these folks are here, I'm sure they're right up close. I've talked to Terry about it. Seems like he's doing right. I'm wondering about water problems and what kind of homes are gonna be, rezoned in there so it doesn't depreciate the value of my home. I don't wanna lose money over this deal when they start to develop. I built my home in there. I love it in there. It's still good in there. I've talked with Terry. He seems like, he's a great guy. I like the Darcys and stuff, and I don't think he's gonna do anything wrong by us, but what's gonna happen further behind that too? We've gotta build. I know we've gotta build and have things going, but let's not depreciate our homes and give us something to make us fight for something. I'm a hard-working guy, I just don't wanna get screwed out of something down the line on what's going on. This is gonna affect other people a lot different than me that are right up by it, so you're gonna have to hear from a few of us. I live in the farthest part, and I don't think they'll be building homes for a long time back there, but I don't want anything other than homes in there either. It's all homes between there and Picardy. Let's keep it all the same. Let's move them up from price range. Mine was lower than Picardy. Let's go in between the price range and do it like that. I'm sure Terry will go with something like that, or these guys. I don't even think Terry's up on the property up front. I think he's gonna make it nice enough and it'll be good, but there'll be other people with other questions. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, that's the rest of the territory around it you're talking about, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that changes from time to time anyway, which would have nothing actually to do with,
Yeah,
Mr.
and it's
project.
high, where Darcy is, and I'm in the farthest back of the field, you can get back there and actually see it. Terry and I have been back there and saw it. You can see that he's high, and then it gets low, and then it comes back. It's built over a swamp, that whole area. It was all pit run and stuff. I developed the house, we built the house with leach and everything. And it's over pit run, which is fine rock, so waters run through there a lot. And water still runs through there. Every spring, everybody's sump pumps run in there, and it's ridiculous, I don't want it to get worse. I want it to be better.
It's good to know where the water's coming from now, okay. All
We know where it's coming from.
right, was there anything else here?
That's it, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, maybe I should suggest we'll try and answer every question, every resident, and just to make it, there are no plans right now at all to develop any of the other property, okay? So no plans whatsoever. I'm gonna ask Mr. Darcy to come up, even though I have our engineer here, to answer the question about the drainage and the flooding, because he did a very nice job.
Why don't we wait till we hear from all the residents, so there might be more questions?
You wanna wait?
And this way,
yeah, Mike,
we
is that way-
can hear from everybody as opposed to addressing each and every
It is,
one.
okay.
Maybe they'll be.
Does somebody
they'll
else
be
have
able
something they wanna
address
come up
them
and
all
have a
at
say?
once.
Yeah, come on up, give your name and your address, please.
My name's Erica Cody, and I live at 2820 Valley Forge. I live at the other end of the cul-de-sac, and right next to the park. Our stormwater easement for that end of the subdivision runs right through my yard. I'd like some assurances that the drainage from the lot and the new stormwater easement isn't going to in any way impact our stormwater easement. It does not have the capacity. We currently have enough flooding in that area as it is, and many of my neighbors have their sump pumps running 24/7 for months on end. I know neighbors adjacent to me have had to replace their sump pumps multiple times because of the stormwater area. I just don't want to see additional problems develop from this. We have issues with the lights. I do know that the city asked them to dim the current lighting, but now they're extending it even farther back, which means there's going to be even more homes impacted by the lighting, and we don't want our homes lit up like O'Hare Airport every night. And the last thing I'd like to address is the public address system. I'm not sure why in this day and age one is necessary to page people on an open lot, but every home near there can hear it every time they use it. It's loud, it's obnoxious, and I don't see how it's necessary right now. As the dealership expands, I would only see that getting worse, not better. So I'd like those items addressed.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else?
Anybody else?
Come on up, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Janie Keck, and I live 2808 Vimy Ridge Drive. I'm in the Picardy subdivision, and I have some questions. First of all, I'm tired of babysitting the field behind me. My house backs up to the field. Every time someone surveys, which it has been surveyed, which you probably have and have looked on your notes several times, we live in single-family subdivision. When we bought our house from Leach, and I think it was Jane that I spoke with today, she said, well, your house was a field before you bought. That is true, but when I bought my house, John Leach was the developer. He advertised 125 single-family houses. That's why we bought our lot. We did not want multifamily. The only reason our field has multifamily behind it is because every time a developer would approach a farmer, the developer wanted multifamily because he said he couldn't make enough money on just single-family residential. That is my biggest concern right now. I don't care what you're building, but I think that all is fair. If he wants to change the zoning of the field, which he owns, then give him the change in zoning that he needs, which is commercial, but give us what we would like, both in the Picardy and Warwick subdivision. We want everything in the middle, single family. That's probably the biggest thing. Another thing is, I don't know why you chose to hug.
Ma'am, could you address your comments up here, please? Ma'am,
When you already have commercial
Ma'am.
zoned property.
would you address your comments to us, please? And that's
Oh, I'm sorry. But when he has, he already has commercial. It's already zoned commercial, all the way to the building. I mean, from his lot to whatever the building is next to it, and then it's McDonald's. So he already owns lots which don't even have to be zoned different. It's already commercial. And when we built, we all knew in our neighborhoods where commercial property went. So I just don't know why he didn't use the property that was already zoned commercial for his car dealership. And also, if he needed more acres, then go right behind what he's already built. Don't go between or go right alongside a single-family development. Those people spent a lot of money for their houses too. And that's the last thing they need is a car wash. He had plenty of room to annex even right behind where he is, which would put him in the middle. That's probably about all I've got.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else has something they want to say?
We're checking in the hallway now, Mr. Chairman.
Come on real quick if you got something you wanted to figure out. No, okay. Nobody else? Okay. Mr. Hanson? Hey, correct me if I'm wrong on something. The property he's gonna build the building is already a parking lot already for cars, and they sit there already on that land, right?
There is parking for cars on the lot, yeah, part of it, yes.
So all you're doing is you're moving the cars off that and putting a building is what you wanna do.
Essentially, correct.
Okay. I've got several questions. The concrete waiver of the curb and gutter portions around the perimeter, what's the purpose? Why not to have them in there to maintain the water inside the parking lot
I think
itself
that's
and to the drains?
It's an engineering question that had pertained to that. You can answer that.
Yes, sworn in.
Chris Papish at 1207 Cedarwood Drive in Crest Hill. So the reasoning for that is the fact that Mr. Darcy requested that not be put in because when they're plowing the snow off the parking lots, that they don't like to hit the curbs around the perimeter. Along the north property line, the parking lot actually drains southward to the center of the new parking area. There's stormwater that runs through the center of the parking lot, flows to the east to the new detention basin. And then along the south end of the new dealership parking area there's no curb because that water just drains off the parking lot and goes right into the detention basin, along with on the east side. That whole parking lot just drains, it's sloped to the east and the water will just drain off of it right straight into the new detention basin.
I can see where this side goes right into the detention pond, that's fine, but around the other side, it contains the water in that field to go to the drains inside the thing. And then as far as plowing, I've plowed for years, you hit curbs, unless you pay attention to what you're doing, go right along the curb, you'll be fine.
Okay.
Okay, the landscaping. You wanna waive the landscaping for the islands in the new parking lot area. Why is that? And not put a fence up, because we usually have a fence anyway. Just one in, Mr. Darcy.
So, just to kind of talk about this project, and if I can refer back to some of the comments earlier, I've tried to be a really good corporate citizen to this development, and back in 04 and 05 when we moved in there, we did add a 36-inch along the whole south end, and did mitigate a lot of the water problems that the residents were having on that end. As we moved back, we realized that if we moved the retention further east, and then we were going retention north and south before, we moved it so that we're going further east, and we're going north and south, and then coming east and west, so that we're actually gonna be able to capture a lot more of that farm runoff that was coming to the neighbors to the south. There is a swale in the far back that the last probably half dozen houses, and to address the young lady that talked about the park area, we think we're gonna mitigate a lot of that, aren't we, Chris? That's gonna be able to, we're trying to bring a lot of that stuff this way instead of across back to you. So we've been very cognizant of being a good neighbor to everyone. The sheet draining is very efficient for us to bring all that water that's gonna come down south and east, and that's kind of why we didn't want the curbing. The reason that it sounds like we don't want as much landscaping, we're gonna end up with more trees than what's required, but the birds and the cars up front just don't get along real well. So I'm trying to put that stuff back where it's gonna mitigate some of the residential needs, and we're trying to heavy up back there. So a lot of what we're doing is to be more cognizant and more good neighbor to the folks that live primarily on the south side. I want to address the lights, and she has a good point. Now, one more thing I want to address as long as I'm up here. All of my people now wear earbuds, and they all have private microphones. So you shouldn't hear any more paging. We don't page on that lot anymore. Everybody wears an earbud. We're being cognizant of things. The parking that's going to go furthest east, we moved that over, I don't know how many 100 feet, because we didn't want to bring that light any closer to neighbors. Every one of those light poles is going to have an individual sensor. That's going to be employee parking and stuff. We don't plan on those lights being on at night. The north side is for when we have more inventory, because it's kind of an ebb and a flow. So this project is designed to ebb and flow with the needs of the car business. But to mitigate the lighting, I agree with those folks. A lot of times that whole east won't even be lit up. My folks are going to leave after work. We don't need lights on, we won't have them on. So we're trying to utilize everything we can to maintain, that not bringing into their neighborhood. So again, and I am going to look into switching out some of the lights that are behind my building now, so that if I don't need them on, they aren't going to bother the neighbors.
So,
A lot of technology's changed, so we're trying to do the best we can to be a good neighbor to everyone.
so you want to take the detention pond and move it further east on that diagram here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming you're gonna make it even bigger than what you had before?
Yeah, it went from 2 to 6.6 acres. Yeah.
How deep is it?
Oh, I don't know how deep.
0.571 acres.
Like he was in, it's roughly 4 foot deep at its deepest point, but the water's gonna run out of it. It's gonna be a grass bottom, it's all sloped. What we did is we sloped it up to the east so that we could collect that farm field water will dump into the east end of it. Which now, it used to flow down in the pond just to the east of Delrose Street, and the north side there, it used to sit right there. That's now gonna be pulled in through the detention basin and run through the storm system out.
Okay. And then, so on the south side, you're gonna put a fence up, right?
We're gonna put a fence up along where the townhomes are.
Yeah.
And a lot of the other properties are not gonna be any more affected than they are now, but we're gonna add some white pines and some trees that will give them a lot more blockage. I mean, I walk the property. There's a couple homes out there that have pools and fire pits, and our berm is up about 5 feet. We're gonna plant on top of those. And again, we're gonna mitigate the use of lights only when needed, and I doubt that's gonna be a whole lot. But we are gonna plant a substantial amount of trees along there to give them blockage. I mean, I can put a fence up there, but I think the trees will be a lot more user-friendly for the folks than a solid vinyl fence. And whatever happens on the other side sometimes is to be seen. But I am trying everything I can to make sure that this doesn't detract from their property.
You want to waive the requirement for the 6-inch solid fence along the portion of the south property line?
Some of it, yeah.
Why not just put the fence up and be done with it?
Well, a lot of people come back and forth from there, and a good portion of that won't have any change in the effect.
You mean they're walking from the neighborhoods down to your property?
Yeah.
I let them walk around. That way, you get a detour between the public, where they're living right there, and you got a fence. I'm sure the people living right there don't want people walking through their backyard to go into your property either. What about in the future? You don't own all the land around here, do you?
No, there's a partner that owns the balance of it.
So if they decide to build houses in the future, when would you put a fence across the eastern portion then, eventually?
Well, there's no plan for any building right now, but I'm sure that if it ever came up, there'd probably be a conversation on it, how to tackle that.
Right, I mean, wouldn't the builder wanna put that up?
I would think the builder would, but
Yeah.
it's always something in the future
No,
anyway, I'm just
I don't
asking.
think it's incumbent upon Mr. Darcy to have to do that.
I really don't see why to get rid of curbs other than, yeah, it saves you money. Put the curbs in, it contains the water, and put the fence up. On all this, you have the V-4-20 is more of a serious thing, but I do have things, because that's your engineer. For all this, on your drawings, you want to vacate the 15-foot easement, water easement? Did I read that in here?
No, sir. No, we did that in 2017. What we're vacating is a section of egress easement and public utility easement that runs directly south of the service bay area of the GMC dealer. And the new Hyundai building is going to be built into that area.
It looks like from your drawings, it'd be right on top of the water main.
The water main will be moved when we come in with the site plan.
And you guys are gonna move the water main at your cost?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Another thing, before you do that, I'd appreciate if you guys, because according to this, you guys talked to the utilities and Public Works. Nobody talked to the director of the water department, because I checked with her just before this meeting. She didn't know about it, and I said, do you have a water main, active water main? She goes, yeah, I do. I said, okay. So I'd appreciate if somebody would talk to the director of the water department when you gotta get around to moving the line.
Again, we went through this, we talked to the staff about this, that because we're not proposing the site plan for the new Hyundai building presently, that it will be coming in the future. But when we do that, then we're going to make efforts to move the water line, vacate the easement, grant a new easement. We talked to John Hall at the city staff. He recommended a new fire hydrant be added in that area for the new building also, and made recommendations about the sanitary sewer that he wanted changed as well.
Always check with department heads around here. That's what I would do if I was in your business and it was something serious that's gonna affect you money-wise, big time. Any other questions from the commissioners?
No, I just want to have a comment here. I think that Mr. Darcy, of all of the businesses in the city of Joliet, has been a fantastic corporate citizen and has done so much. So I believe his heart's certainly in the right place. I think that he'll address, he's already addressed some of the concerns of the residents. So I feel confident that going forward here, this won't be a problem. And you know, oftentimes you rely on your staff to do stuff, and later on it comes to your attention his unintended consequences, secondary and tertiary. So I think he's done a good job addressing those, so I'm satisfied.
Could you see your way putting the fence down?
What's that?
Could you see your way putting the fence all the way down on the south side to be?
You know, I'd love to talk to neighbors. If they want it, I'll do
That's
it.
what I was gonna say, let's have that. Did anybody here say they lived on the south side?
I live on that side, but not that side.
Yeah, I don't wanna push an agenda that we have.
No, it's on the
If
agenda, but we
residents
also have an
their-
email of somebody else that
I'm
sends
tired
the
of speaking.
emails too.
What I was gonna say is that I think that if the residents have something to say about it, we should take note of that.
No to a fence.
Pro fence, anti-fence, what was the reason, Mr. Darcy, that you said that the south side was going to?
I don't think it's necessary to bring it all the way down to the park area. I think that probably would be the purpose. If there's gonna be landscaping that comes down as far as that stormwater easement area, I think that's probably sufficient height. Now, obviously, the homeowners that are closer to the dealership may feel that they would prefer to have a fence there, but I hope that many of them already do.
Would the town
Any other comments from the commissioners? Questions? Do a motion?
So move.
What's
I
your motion?
A motion to approve?
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Second?
Call roll?
Ms. Fide?
Aye.
Mr. Kella?
Aye.
Mr. Russonelos?
Aye.
Mr. Caparelli?
Aye.
Mr. Cox?
Aye.
Mr. Crompton?
Aye.
Mr. Dillon?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Chairman, the next item on the agenda is, let's see here, V5-20. And, yeah, if you can get them in. There's another group coming in.
You said V-5-20?
Yes.
There's somebody out there that wants to speak to it?
Yes, yeah. Okay, petition number V520, vacation of a 12-foot by 84-foot portion of a public alley south of 418 Madeline Street, south of 127 Pleasant Street and north of 129 Pleasant Street. The applicant in this matter is Jacqueline Huey, who is the resident at 418 Madeline Street, requesting vacation of a 12-foot by 84-foot unimproved public alley to expand private property and eliminate cut-through traffic. Location is south of 418 Madeline Street, south of 127 Pleasant Street, and north of 129 Pleasant Street. The alley size is approximately 1,008 square feet. It is an unused public alley. Surrounding land use and zoning to the north is R2 single-family residential, as well as to the south, east, and west. We have no site history on this particular request. Under special information, the property owner at 418 Madeline Street is the chief petitioner in this case. She seeks the vacation of a 12-foot by 84-foot portion of the public alley that runs directly behind her house. She seeks the vacation to eliminate traffic through the unimproved alley, which has, she indicates, damaged private property on either side at times. The alley has been made more narrow by the encroachment of a fence from the property at 129 South Pleasant Street, and that extends 3.2 to 4.2 feet into the alley. The property owner at 127 South Pleasant Street is in support of this vacation request since his property does not have a south side yard. The property at 129 South Pleasant Street also does not have a north side yard due to the existence of the public alley. At the time of the writing of this staff report, the property owner at 129 South Pleasant has not decided if she would like to purchase the half of the alley that is adjacent to her property or the portion of the alley that her property's fence encroaches into. Staff has sent 2 letters to the owner of 129 South Pleasant Street that outlined the vacation process and estimated the cost, and also spoken to the property owner on via telephone. Planning staff has conducted 2 site visits to the alley. The vacation of the alley should not impact the surrounding properties, including the houses along Madeline Street. These houses either have front yard driveway access or they can access their rear yard driveways from the Hyde Street or the public alley access located just north of 430 Madeline Street. It should be noted that there is currently an illegal obstruction for through alley access behind the house at 426 Madeline Street. A context map and maps showing public rights-of-way in this neighborhood have been included with the staff report packet. The Public Works and Public Utilities Departments are not opposed to the request since they have no utilities in this area, and rear lot ingress egress will be maintained for properties along Madeline Street that require rear yard access. AT&T has reported that they are not opposed to the request as they have no utilities in this area. As of the writing of the staff report, no other utility company has reported back as to whether or not they may require an easement be reserved. And that completes the staff report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Do we have the petitioner on hand? You're the petitioner, ma'am? Step up. You're the petitioner? Okay. Do you have anything else you want to add to this that you want?
Not really. I would just like to close it. I just want to extend my fence out and have the cars not drive through there anymore. Nobody on our side uses it at all.
Are you gonna take the fence all the way across so they stop going through them?
Yes, yes. So where that, garage is there, that's where my fence ends.
The white garage?
Yes,
In the back?
the white garage, and I just want to go straight across, because the other house, he has his garage and parking next to that, and then on the other side, there's also parking in the back. So they can get through access off through Hyde Park.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the commissioner? Any from the citizens? Yeah. Step up, please. Give your name and your address.
My name's Alma. I'm the owner of 422 Madeline. And we just have like 4 issues with it. We don't want the alley closed because one, almost everybody on that street has driveways. We don't. So 422, when you look at it, the back does not have enough space for our 3 cars. We always have to park slanted, and then we're always either driving on 129 Pleasant Street on her yard, and the bigger issue is if she builds a fence right there, we cannot reverse out. We have a truck, we have 2 cars, we have 5 people who work all the time, and we can't reverse in and out all the time. There's not enough room. We had to make our parking bigger so we can actually fit our cars. So the issue is, like, people don't park in their driveway, so we don't get any parking at all. And the bigger issue too is when it snows, they block us in. The snow plows just block all the snow in there. And my mom, who's sick, she has to always clean the snow. And she's been maintaining the alley, she's been cleaning it, she's been mowing the lawn, everything, all the time. So, and we have new cars, so the traffic that's going in there, it's not going fast. We're not hitting anything. 129 Pleasant, she has her own camera there, so if anything did get hit, she would let us know. So we honestly, we need the alley, because the thing is, we don't get any parking anywhere.
So you use the alleyway as a parking lot?
When we have to reverse, we have to reverse out and leave through the alley, because reversing the other way around, you're either gonna hit the fire hydrant that's in the corner, or you're gonna go on to 129 Pleasant's, her grass all the time. And that's the hard part. And it's just 1 truck and like 2 little SUVs, but. And then when we have to park with each other, we have to park with each other so close, so there's not even enough room to back out. So unless people start using their driveways, then we'd have parking, but people don't.
Okay.
And it's only a 1-sided parking in the front.
Okay, is your house the yellow house then?
Yep. It's the only house without a garage or a driveway.
So this is their house here.
This is their house.
This is their house.
So why would you, okay, you're using the alleyway as a parking lot then?
No, we reverse out to leave with the park. That's how the only way we can leave. Because if we try to leave through, was it 426? It's not enough room to back out. It is not.
So you do not have a garage?
No. The house did not come with a garage.
So what is
What's the yellow building
that
doing?
building? Is that a shed?
Which one?
There's a yellow, behind the yellow house is a yellow garage-looking
Yeah.
building.
That's,
Oh, so it's a shed.
that's a shed.
Mr. Chairman, if I could have our planner who's looked at this kind of give a contextual overview, I think maybe that would help.
I just want to clarify, so if you're coming onto Madeline Street, you are the 4th house?
Yeah.
So the alley vacation does not extend that far, so it won't impact your maneuvering ability with cars backing out. It only,
So like,
the alley vacation ends with Miss Huey's property at 418. It doesn't go any further than that.
okay, so then like, yeah, so then the other issue would just be like when it snows and they plow through, what's that road? One in the middle, I can't see it. Hyde Park.
Hyde Park.
They always block us in. Yeah, they just push all the snow in there and then they just leave, they just leave it. So they always block us in and we're always cleaning it every year. The alley, if we clean it. If we clean the alley, that's the only way we can get in and out.
There's also an illegal obstruction on the other end of the alley.
Yeah. So there's, yeah, that other side of the alley, no one's ever used, because we always just thought it was just closed permanently.
It's not.
Yeah, so.
What's considered an illegal?
I took a photo of it. It's someone put a chop block in front of it.
Railroad tie or something.
Yeah, railroad tie, that right there. That's still a public alley.
So that just needs to be removed, though. That's it.
Yeah,
Because we could just.
I just
use
noted
that.
site conditions when I was out
You
there.
can call the street department and they can come and
Because
get
if we
it.
could just use that, then that'd be perfectly fine, because reversing in and out, it's not easy in that, in that parking lot.
So you're saying if that was cleaned up, then you would not be having the issues if
No.
she vacated, or if that alley up to her fence line, that's not gonna bother you then?
Yeah, as long as we can get out through a way, if Hyde Park, if it gets blocked in, as long as we can get out in and out, that's fine. Because we all, like, I work at a hospital, my dad's a truck driver, we all leave at different times, so we always have to make sure it's cleared open, and sometimes there's not enough room.
If that's a workable alley, is there a way to like put gravel or something down? Is that something that the city would do to make it more clearly?
We used to grade them, we stopped doing, we paved a lot of them, and some of them were virgin alleyways that never should have been, but they became alleyways. As far as that block, you can make a phone call down to City Hall down here, lodge a formal complaint, the street department will have to come up and just pick that stuff up out of the alleyway.
Do you know, Mr. Chairman, exactly who they would have to call so you could pass it up? Who would they?
Well, I'm
who
sure
would-
the planning
But
department would take care
you
of
can
it.
get with the staff after the meeting and we'll give you the contact information.
I'm here now. I'd like to speak with you.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
anybody else?
Do you have any more concerns?
No, that's it.
You, over here, John, you can step up to the mic then, please.
I think, I don't know what the purpose for close the alley, but the closed alley is, nobody but safety neighbors or something like that, because it's more danger for me, for my family, because the peoples come straight to the alley. Right now, if the guys close, by the property, they close the alley.
They're just gonna cut through
House, for my
they
house.
cut through our house.
So,
And it's
as I
happened a
said-
couple times. I've had someone try to jump in my truck because he crossed through the alley. And,
Start stealing my car.
well, he didn't cross through the alley, he crossed through 422. Because people who are on Madeline want to cross and get to Hyde Park, so they cross through all our houses all the time. So closing the alley, I don't see why closing the alley would make it like a more safe thing. Because it's just making them cross through our house more. We've already caught so many people going through our house and through our yard.
Yeah.
So the only thing we can do is probably just put a fence and make sure no one crosses through again.
Yeah. Okay. You had something, sir, you want? Okay. Your name and address, please.
DeAndre Nunn, 129 Pleasant Street. I'm here on behalf of my mother. I live at the Yellow House on 129 Pleasant. Regarding the alley doesn't get used that often, besides for our neighbors here. They drive very, very slow, they're very cautious, they're very aware. Regarding our fence, it's been hit a few times by city works, like by dump trucks, things of that nature, back in the early 2000s. But besides that, they use it pretty much every single day. They drive slow, they don't hit our fence. And then regarding the, if you look at our fence there, regarding the talking encroachment of our fence. The surveyor that came out for the city marked our land property off almost in the middle of our mailbox. However, you see a little, there's a rock right there, the big giant rock there. The rebar's actually inside that rock. So our fence aligns with the rebar and also aligns to the cuts in the curb to get through the alley there. I have a picture here if you would like to.
Sure. Bring it up.
I just have, so you can see the line of fence with curb cut through the alley. So we mark both alleys on both sides of the property.
You have a curb there.
Yeah. It lines directly up with the fence. As well as.
That's an old curb. This is a virgin alleyway then. Somebody put gravel down and started using it as an alleyway.
It's been like that. We've been there since '87. You can see to measure off to the, here's the rebar, and then here's the city surveyor. So,
You seen it?
yeah. So the rebar is right here. The city surveyor came and marked it off. You see all this between our yards.
He's located, but the rebar would always be for land marking the
So you can
corners.
find the rebar, so you find, he was located to find the rebar that's right inside there. There's also another picture, I have the rebar in the middle of our fence through the alley, the lines with the fence as well.
And so you're not opposed to this being blocked off anyway then, right?
The biggest issue would be my neighbors. We've been in 87, we get relationship with our neighbors, we've been there for a long time. Right now, if we do acquire half the alley, they're kind of stuck because the neighbors will be next to them, typically park in that easement there. So you saw that white garage? They park their cars in front of the white garage. That's why we didn't put up a fence either, because we put up a fence in our back, they can't get out. Because our property goes into the alleyway as well, on the rear of the property.
I would like to see this in person if I had time.
Here's one picture if I bring it up to you. This might help a bit. The rear of our property is marked off right there in the alley already. And of course, the city surveyor came out and marked it in the yard, but the rebar is right here.
That's where the property line though.
Yeah.
And so if this is marked off, they're over here.
That's me.
That's
us.
you're
That's my property.
you're yellow.
Yes.
This is not a garage.
That's our garage, yeah.
Oh, so that is a garage.
That's our garage.
That's what we were asking before about the other house in the garage.
There's also another piece of land.
So how do you get to that garage off the,
We drive on our side. Probably goes over here, it's fine, but our neighbors next to her, next to Jacqueline, who's an old guy, he's not here right now, he's very sick. He can't get in if it's blocked off. Even though it doesn't go to.
well, he would come from this way anyway, and they're blocking off the other end.
Yeah, but the problem is, the neighbors next to them, they park there, next to the fire hydrant, so nobody can get in or out to the back of our property. We're not opposed to buying up the other half, but we want to make sure our neighborhood is, safe and neighbors can get out as well. Like I said, too, if we block it off,
Where's the fire hydrant?
we'll just wait for them to get off. But regarding our fence encroaching 4 feet onto the alleyway, so if you look at the rebar where it lines up at, it aligns with the fence as well as the curb cuts and the sidewalk.
You've seen where they're gonna block it off, right?
Yes, I did. And they're saying that our property, our fence.
From that back of the white, garage, all the way to the street,
Right.
between the yellow house and the, I think greenhouse.
Yeah, my first concern was the surveyor saying our property goes 4 feet into the alley somewhere, because the measurements don't line up. Where the rebar is where we have our surveyor mark it off. He marked it off 4 feet into our yard. And didn't find any rebar. There's rebar marked there at all. He just has a white, he's granite white, on the yard and left. Our surveyor came out, found the rebar. He found the rebar and painted it orange, so bright orange, you can't miss it. And that's about 4 feet away from where he came in and marked it off. The rebar in the back of the yard actually is in the gravel area. That's one thing I wanted to address. The other thing is we're not opposed to buying up to half of the alley, if that's gonna be that'll happen. Regarding the communication between my mother and the city, my father just passed away. He had cancer. He had a rapid death. He was in hospital for 3-4 weeks, came home for hospice, died the second day of hospice. That was in end of July. We buried him in August. My mother's been kind of grieving for a while. They've been married since 1983, so we're kind of dealing with that right now, which is why I'm here. and there's been kind of lack of communication between her and the city.
Okay, so you're here saying that you don't want it blocked off then, okay?
If they decide to block it off, we'll borrow half the property. If they decide not to, we're okay with that as well.
Okay. and any-
Regarding her issues of the easement and traffic and damage, there has not been any, we have cameras up there, there's not been any damage besides from the weather. People who drive through the alley are the neighbors here who tell you they don't have a garage. They have not hit the property at all. They've been very nice, they drive very slow. I have a young daughter, a brother, 3 young kids as well. They drive very slow, very cautious. So regarding the whole property damage thing, that has not been an issue. We've been there since 1987. We been hit 2 times by PT Farrow and another big construction truck.
Any other questions from the commissioners? Jason, would you like, you had something, you had a question?
No,
I think we got more folks that wanna
We got
talk.
more?
Yeah, I have a question. We keep hearing about the fire hydrant. Where,
Yes.
where is that located?
That's on the back of our property.
Okay.
Was that in
Can
that
you-
picture?
No. See it on the D520.
I was just gonna say, maybe the one with the blue lines, maybe if we have that, you can show us that, right?
Okay.
Is that better?
I haven't been able to see it.
No, it's street level instead of D520.
Oh.
Right here, so,
Yeah, you can come up here. Just,
all right, so if the rebar is right here, our hydrant is right here,
oh,
on the back of our property.
there it is. Oh, there, okay, oh, there it is, got it,
So we
okay.
can't, we don't put it into because they can't get out and they can't back out. And if somebody parks right here, you see we blocked off already, if they park here and they park in front of their garage, you have 2 neighbors here that over there, they can't get out. Unless you said to in the wintertime, they plow the roads, they just plow this way. I shovel my own, he's over here. If you all shovel my parents' yard, my parents are in the alley over there. So if someone parks here, someone parks here, you cannot get out, get in here.
That's a dead end right there then, doesn't it? This road comes down, and just dead ends right there?
Yeah. And then regarding, you guys talked about this here, it used to be gravel.
I see what you're talking about.
It used to be gravel there, and it goes out to Madeline. However, it's a very tight turn inside there. So someone put this down, and you got grass over it. But before the people would race through this area here. But since a while now, just the neighbors here, and if, like I said, there's a neighbor here who parks right here. And another neighbor parks right in front of back of our land here, and they park here. So you cannot get in or get out unless you go this way.
Goes through it,
Which
through
is why we have
the other way.
so we've been there 1887, you probably look at all. So if you want to acquire the alley, we will. Or we're gonna make sure that all the things get taken care of right here. We've been there for a long time, we've been talking to the neighbors, you know.
Okay, makes sense now.
Fire hydrant seems concerning.
Yeah.
I think there's some more folks that want to.
Is somebody else that wants to speak?
Yes.
Come on up, sir.
How you doing? My name's Gary Dobsick. I live at 424 Madeline, which in this picture, that would be, the pavers, the seal coat I put down. All that new black stuff is the front of my garage. I lived there about 18 years ago. And just to touch on a couple of things, the alley, I don't know what a virgin alley is, but it has never been maintained by the city. 12, 13 years ago, 8 years ago, I had gravel brought in on the Madeline Street entrance to the alley because the potholes were so big, I filled them. My partner and I, for 18 years, you know, we have dogs, we walk, we would bring a garbage can with us. We've always cleaned up the neighborhood. We've been great with the neighbors. Over the last 18 years, the back of the yellow yard I help maintain. I'm the guy that parks by the hydrant, but I do park 15, my front bumper of my vehicle is 15 feet from the hydrant. I have a garage, but I don't have a driveway.
So you have the blue garage right here. Is that yours?
It's a white garage.
Or white?
It's right here.
Okay. Yeah, it's the one right here by the.
Dead end. Yeah, this basket weave fence is mine,
Okay.
and that white garage is mine. And then the neighbors that spoke earlier with their vehicles here, they have their strips in their backyard, as well as that white house next door. So they do have room to back out. They've got the whole 42 feet, which is the back property line of that white garage. And they can easily get out this way. They're great neighbors, but they've only been there 2 years, 3 years tops. I've been there 18. We've had problems. The other thing, they don't plow this. If you look at the street thing, they come north on Hyde Park, and then they hang a left on Alley. This house, us, and them, I don't know their last name, always have to hand shovel this or snow blow it by hand. I can give you records of every year where I call and complain, because I'm getting older and I can't shovel all that snow. So they've never blocked it with snow. That's not true at all. Yeah, so we walk, I take my dogs, we walk around the block, we clean it up. This house has had their fence damaged multiple times. Their fence has been damaged multiple times. We've had tire companies, the garage, they dump big piles of tires in the alley because it's unlit. It's dark. Constantly cleaning after it.
Are you saying
But I'm
leaving it
all for
open?
closing it. I think it needs to be closed. That's why I put the obstruction, the 4x4. I have grandkids, cars speed through there. You know, they smoke drugs back there. On the other end, on this side. Excuse me. This is a big dumping ground, because they can come back here. This light was burned out forever. It was just dangerous. So, you know, I bought there, I want to stay there, I want to keep it nice. When they were painting all the gang signs on the stop sign, I went down there and cleaned them off. They wrote on the street, I covered it with black paint. I am all for closing the alley. The traffic is unnecessary. Everybody can access everything. If you don't have a driveway, they can use the north entrance to Maryland. These guys are connected. So these guys have this much room to get out. It makes no sense to leave it open and allow people to dump, smoke, drink.
Okay.
So I think it should be closed or maintain it, because I'm not gonna keep doing it. I've been doing it 18 years.
Okay,
And I'm old and I'm tired.
thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
I live in Medellin 3 years ago. And 3 years ago, I cleaned this driveway, I cut the grass, I have a picture. Nobody in 3 years drive for this driveway because my neighbor, she had a camera, recording cameras, only me and my dogs. I have brand new cars. I want to spot put the fence, damage on the fence. So in 3 years, I think the city, no, it's good enough for my family. Whatever you decide, that's good for me and for my family and for the neighbors. Close the alley is it's no for me, for my family. That's only the point. Because she know the city not clean the snow. She know. I live in the Marine 3 years, I know it. She live 18 years, but I'm 3. She know I clean the driveway, I cut the grass. Yeah, I had a picture because I cut the grass every Tuesday. So whatever you want to decide, it's good for me and for my family. I don't want to fight for the driveway, for a piece, for one more, for all the family. So whatever you decide, it's good for me. Thank you.
I just wanted to clarify real quick with the residents that have spoken before. I don't think anybody has said that they are not for closing off that specific section,
Wait,
right?
no.
Nobody has been in
these folks
opposition
are
of closing that whole thing. Or it's the whole thing that would be the issue, but closing off at the property line, what is being proposed today, nobody is in objection, nobody, okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify that, because we've been talking a lot about city services that should be provided, but ultimately the decision we're talking about today is that, and then we can figure out what services should be, may it be plowing, or may it be re-graveling, or whatever.
So, yeah,
Right?
ma'am, is that correct? You're in, you don't care if they vacate that, if that part of the alley is closed off?
Get in and out with no issue, then.
Well, you can't if they close it off.
Well, no, I'm saying like for Hyde Park.
Okay,
For Hyde Park.
okay.
All right. Just so we're all clear. Any other?
So I'm not the owner, okay, close up the alley, they can get out the house.
Okay.
Okay.
This is like your guys' version of like a neighborhood gathering.
Yeah, no kidding.
This is the only way we can get together in COVID times, and we're all getting together and getting along and agreeing.
Okay.
Yeah. And are you saying that issue too is with the plowing? Is that a concern? That is a concern. Because I've heard it from them and I heard it from him, but plowing is a concern, right?
You can't get a plow through there. You can barely get a small Honda. Because the fence is, you know.
And you're talking the alleyway. We don't plow alleyways either, anyway.
Mr. Dillon, could I respond to the plowing issue?
Go ahead.
So, Hyde
Give your name,
Park,
please. Give your-
Scott
somebody knows.
Gatsvich, I'm the civil engineer supervisor. So typically what we do is the snow plows plow the public streets, but we do hire out each year for contractors to go in and do cul-de-sacs and dead ends. So if Hyde Park is truly a public road right up basically to the alley and to that garage, that gentleman's garage, it may be that the plows are coming up Hyde and then making that right-hand turn on that, on Allen and heading out that way because they can't go in there with the plows and be effective. It may be we need to look at our snowplow maps that we assign to contractors that we hire each year and make sure that that little section between Allen and the alley up to your garage is on there.
Really, again, I don't live on Hyde Park, so I don't wanna complain about the Hyde Park snowing, but I do have to access there.
Right.
And this woman that lives on the step with her, the house at 201 Hyde Park, you know, she's got kids and everything, so, we usually get together and
Yeah, it sounds like that little section between Allen and the alley doesn't get hit. And that's what I'm saying, it's not necessarily the city crews and the city snowplows that do that, but we hire out contractors with end loaders that can go in there and back it out and do things like that, so.
Okay.
We'll make sure that that's.
Could you also
looked
take
at.
care of that obstruction in the other alleyway?
Sure.
Yeah, I'll
Scott.
check it out. It's a 4x4, and I actually
Okay.
want to see how this goes, because I'm not opposed to closing the other side too, because they got drive-through.
Okay.
All right.
All right, can we
Are
move
people-
on? Any
people
commissioners,
drive
any
through
other
that
comments from the
west
commissioners?
end there?
No.
All right,
It looks like it's more grass than gravel at this point.
thank you.
Okay.
All right, let's go.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you. Do you have a
This is
motion
a
on the
democratic
floor?
process. Let's watch it,
Right,
let's watch it get
exactly.
to an end.
I motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Mr. Kella?
Aye.
Mr. Rosanellos?
Aye.
Mr. Caparelli?
Aye.
Mr. Cox?
Aye.
Mr. Crompton?
Aye.
Mr. Dillon?
Aye.
Miss Friday?
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, we have no items under old or new business not for final action or recommendation. We will next move to public comment. This section is for anyone wanting to speak regarding non-agenda items. Again, 4 minutes are allowed.
State your name,
My
address.
name is James Lipinski. I live at 6501 Jack Rogers Lane. My comment is, I was sent this letter about today's agenda. And what I'm here for was pulled from the agenda. If you can send a letter out about something that's on the agenda, and I take time off of work, I work in the building trades. We don't work, we don't get paid. We don't get paid holidays, we don't get paid sick days. We don't work, we don't get paid. That's how it works. If you can send a letter out for something on the agenda, and then you pull it from the agenda, you should send a letter out saying it's been pulled from the agenda, so people aren't wasting their time, and people aren't getting penalized monetarily. You guys all get, well, you're volunteers, but everybody from the city, they get holiday pay, they get sick pay, they get personal days. I don't. I don't work, I don't get paid. Like the iron worker that was here, he's in the same boat I'm in. He doesn't work, he doesn't get paid. So if you
Is
can
there a
send a
comment
letter
that you
out
would-
for the agenda,
Yeah.
You should send one out when it's pulled.
Now, you can talk today about what you did come in to talk about, and since all the commissioners were all, they don't change weekly or anything, so we can keep this in mind for next time when you do, if it does come back up. So don't feel like you're not being heard, because we're more than willing to hear what it is you have to say about the agenda item, and that's actually what this time is for. I personally apologize that it was pulled, but sometimes we don't have control over that.
Well, this has been going on since last June, okay? And in June, all these items supposed to be taken care of within 60 days of annexation.
They haven't been, that's your complaint, they haven't been taken care of?
Maybe 2 or 3 of them have been, but the majority of them haven't been. And the 2 or 3 that have been taken care of, one of them was just taken care of within the past couple weeks.
Mr. Rogers, my understanding is they want to pull their thing from out of the city because they haven't done what they're supposed to do by the agreement.
Yeah,
So-
and also, another big complaint I have is the roofs over there were all asbestos roofs, okay? Now, I've been trained about asbestos. He had some guys over there, his workers, Mr. Hernandez, and they pulled the roof off of one of the buildings, okay? They didn't have the water to wet it down. They didn't bag it properly. They didn't have the permits to have it dumped. They threw all the asbestos in the back of a trailer and drove away with it, okay? Now, when I called my councilman, Larry Hugg, I was told by him that whoever he talked to from the city said that they were within their allowable limits. The allowable limits for asbestos is 0. Okay? Now, maybe you guys don't live there. I live there. I have a 1.5-year-old granddaughter. Okay? Why should my granddaughter's health be affected because this gentleman wants to pull an asbestos roof off in a fashion that's not proper? And there's other buildings on that property that also have asbestos roofs. So I ended up calling the EPA, is what I ended up doing. And at that point, that's when it all stopped. But it was too late. He already had the roof off the one main building and had it already shingled. They pull a roof off in a day and they shingle it in a day. Okay? And I mean, 60 days, everything said 60 days. The fence, 60 days. The driveway, 60 days. Landscaping still hasn't been done. The fence was just done a few weeks ago. The paved driveways, he paved some of it. Okay, he didn't pave it all.
Okay.
These are my concerns.
I understand and I agree with you, but it's pulled from the agenda for one. We did hear you. 2, what we got here is the city's demanding that he be taken out of the city limits because he failed to do all the things that he was supposed to do correctly. We won't know till the next meeting what's gonna go
The
on.
complaint is that,
Mr.
Correct,
Chairman.
and the only reason that it's even been brought up is because I've kept complaining and complaining and complaining about it. That's the only reason it's been up, or else this gentleman would be doing whatever he wants like he's been doing for the past.
Thank you, because we don't go out and check afterwards. That's other people's jobs to go do that for the city, not ours. But thanks for letting
Well,
us
they're
know.
not doing their jobs. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Let's see here.
What comment, was that public motion?
Motion for adjournment?
Motion for adjournment, can I get a motion?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Roll call. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Quicker.